A few months ago, I'm at a jazz concert. Herbie Hancock and friends. Yes, that Herbie Hancock, the legendary jazz pianist of the Miles Davis Quartet. Parts of the concert were absolutely dazzling. Herbie's 86-year-old hands fleeing effortlessly across the keys, dazzling us with the music he was able to play. Jazz standards, all the things we long to hear from him. And other parts of the concert were simply horrible. Like when he wouldn't stop talking about AI and the dangers within through an antiquated vocoder digital voice transitional technology. And it was just horrible. 20 minutes, he wouldn't stop. Absolutely self-indulgent musings. And we hated it. And the audience was starting to revolt. Now, this got me to think, after the concert, is art for the artist or is art for the audience? Oh, your favorite group of troublemakers is back, and we're going to stir up the pot tonight. I promise that. This is Woodworking is Bullshit. I'm your host, Paul Jasper, of Copper Pig Woodworking, scientist by day, woodworker by night. And of course, I got my boy in the chair, Eric Curtis, fine furniture maker and content creator.
Arriba, motherfuckers. Let's ride.
You can tell Eric is on his third bourbon tonight.
Wow, I wasn't going to tell the people, but okay.
Well, I just did. Tonight, we have a very special guest. I've been super excited about this episode because I've been trying to get him to come on the podcast for months and months. This is my college roommate, Thomson Kneeland. And you say, Paul, what are you talking about? Your college roommate? What does that have to do with Woodworking's Bullshit? Well, after earning an engineering degree when we were roommates, in electrical engineering no less, he became a professional upright bass jazz player, eventually moving to New York City and pursuing his dreams of being a full-time jazz musician for more than 20 years. An absolute beast of a jazz musician, releasing 5 of his own albums and appearing on more than 60 recordings as composer, leader, or sideman. Now, more than that, though, of course, I find that dazzlingly impressive because I tried to be a jazz musician for a small period of time and failed miserably. But more than that, Thomson is one of my favorite thinkers. He's I would describe him as insatiably curious, deeply philosophical, and wildly open and appreciative to whatever life has in store for him. When we catch up on the phone, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant of ideas and life. It's almost too much for both of us. So I thought, on this question of is art for the artist or is art for the audience, who could answer that better than someone who's been playing jazz for 20 plus years in front of countless audiences? And jazz is known for being kind of in the pocket. Like sometimes it's for the audience and the audience likes it, and sometimes the audience doesn't understand what the players are doing. This is the perfect person. So Thomson Kneeland, thank you so much helping us tackle this question today.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. Paul, good to see you again. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be awesome.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. Eric knows I'm absolutely titillated.
He sent
today.
me, for the audience, he sent me a photo of, it had to be 5 to 6 pages of handwritten notes. He was like, I've been in the fucking zone this afternoon. I was like, yeah, dog. God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Thomson and I made the mistake of having a call about 3 days ago where we touched on some of the thoughts early on, and we literally had to cut each other off. It was too much. Like, you don't want to blow the wad before the episode. So I had to cut us off at that. But what we came to about this question is art for the artist or is art for the audience, which I think is a fantastic, rich question. And it crosses all disciplines, not even art. It's even outside of art, believe it or not. But we started with this idea. The first thing Thompson said is, I've been thinking about this all week, and he's like, art. So if art is for the artist, you think of like art, the artist as an explorer, like a self-contained explorer on the search for something new, like in some ways by themselves. So the artist as the explorer versus the artist as a collaborator, drawing audiences in, bringing them together, coalescing people into a sort of a unified group dynamic, collaborative, inclusive. So that is the dichotomy, and we're going to develop this further. It's not that simple, but this is the polar, like the two poles of the conversation that uh, Thomson mentioned: artist as the explorer, or the artist as the collaborator. So, Thomson, in your own words, I would love to hear you describe your thinking on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, this runs deep. One thing I do have to say, as a jazz musician, one of the things we're really called upon is to hone our improvisational skills and just have the ability to take a structure, take a song, and be able to improvise off the cuff. So that can be very abstract to audiences, but it has this inherent risk that's always involved in playing. So if you're a classical musician, you're reading off a page, a certain set of music that's fixed. It has a structure. If you're playing jazz, you're dealing with these structures that are very improvisational. And to the listener, that can tend to be a lot more abstract. So as a musician, one of the things I always faced in my life was what is our relationship to the audience? Who is listening, and what kind of role do I have in my relationship with the audience? So just to kind of set up how I've been thinking about this, I have to say, as an artist, I certainly have been very self-indulgent. I came to this because I wanted to explore. I want to be a visionary. So for me, that's a very personal thing. I didn't come playing music because I just wanted to make people happy. I wanted to explore, find new territories, uh, just go places people hadn't been before, and create new music, new art, new visions. So I conceive of this, as you were saying, like the artist as explorer. You're looking at novelty, you're looking at new experiences, you're looking to expand the history from where it's been. We could play the music of Duke Ellington, we can play big bands, you can play Miles Davis, you can play standards, but you also have John Coltrane, who's just taking all of those, creating entirely new forms, new structures, but it still can be completely functional. And then as you move forward historically in jazz, you also have the avant-garde, in which very abstract people are just working with free improvisation. They're not even having structure, they're getting rid of structure. And that applies to so many artistic disciplines. If you're looking at Rembrandt is a very classical artist, but you also have Jackson Pollock, who's splattering paint all over the place. You have Rothko with these abstract colors and forms and structures. You have Dali, who takes structures, or Picasso, cubist structures, but you're taking classical structures, turning them, inverting them, adding extra dimensions, and finding new ways to look at reality and so forth. So I always wanted to be more of the Picasso, the Dali, the Pollock, and just go somewhere people have never been. Like where what can I find out there? If I were a woodworker, I'd want to create a form that was entirely unique and put my own twist on it, and just find some new structure, new way to go that hadn't been thought of before. So artist as visionary, you're challenging the status quo. I think there's another aspect to this. So as Paul mentioned, this can be very multidimensional. For me, music has always been very spiritual, I think is the best word to kind of encapsulate it. So music can be meditative. It's something that connects people, but you have this almost a transcendental journey that can happen with music. You're listening to this piece of music and you're transported to an entirely different world that's just kind of beyond our physical realm in a sense. That's, it's maybe putting it in religious terms almost in that sense. But for me, playing music is like going to church. It's like sitting there in a holy place and communing with like the deepest levels of reality that we possibly can. So for me, there's the explorer aspect, there's the transcendental aspect as well. Um, on the other side, you also have the artist and performer, the pole that Paul mentioned as kind of, you can look at it a few different ways. The collaborator, um, the community gatherer, the organizer. So in terms of this, I was thinking I could also frame it as an architect, a facilitator to the audience. So the artist becomes the guide. We're not here to explore new territory. We're here to communicate to the audience, bring them in, have a journey together, and experience something together, whatever this is. That could be transcendental, like I was saying before, but it also might just be, man, we want to dance and have a good time, right? Like, jam, just have fun. So
Yeah.
this art form, we don't always have to be in these super abstract explorer categories. Sometimes it's just this visceral rhythm pumping on the dance floor, and like, yeah, I mean, get down, have a good time.
All right, so so Thompson, I find these two poles of artist as the explorer versus artist as the collaborator or aggregator for the public a very useful framework that I think the rest of the conversation is going to hang on. And you said, the audience in one case is a witness to what's happening. They're not necessarily part of it, but they're witnessing it, and that can be powerful. I'm sure we've all been witness to something artistic where you're like, holy fucking shit. Like, what is going on? Like, that's incredible, even if you're not part of it. But then there's audience as participant. And we know that is extremely powerful too, because the people feel part of something that is bigger than themselves. I think of Jacob Collier. Have you seen? I sent Thompson his videos where he turns a huge audience in a theater into a huge choral instrument. So he divides the audience into thirds and he gives them a note. This third gets this note, this third gets this note, this third gets another note. And through the action of his hands, he has them go up and down section by section and turns it into like a human organ with their voices. And you say, yeah, but they don't know what notes to sing. Well, he doesn't tell them what notes to sing. They just kind of know. He'll go up in this section and they'll go to the note. How do they know what note? They must have some musical background, or just their human brain tells them that that's the right note to sing. And maybe 80% get it right, and maybe 20% get it wrong, but the 20% are like, "Oh shit, I'm singing the wrong note."
Well, that's safety in numbers, right there. Is what that is. Yeah.
So like, there's that can be incredibly powerful, and you see people emerge from that kind of experience where they're the participant. And I'm sure, as Thompson and I were texting earlier, they probably feel like that was probably one of the most moving experiences of their lives.
Well, can we come back? So Thompson, in that opening, which was fucking beautiful, you touched on structure a lot. And the people who work within the structure and the people who step outside the structure, the explorers, right? And Paul, what you're describing is somebody who understands the structure so well that they're able to explain the structure to an audience and invite the audience to participate in said structure. Yeah. But what's powerful, at least to me, and please disagree with me if either of you think so, but what seems to me to be so powerful about moments like that, and I've been in, like, Ben Folds is a pop artist who does this a lot, and he's so fucking good at it, right? But you are assuming that the audience knows the structure, and then you are providing additional structure on top of that for them to participate in. And so there is an understanding of, like, I don't want to sound like a dick here, but like Ben Folds knows more about music theory than I do, right? So there's an understanding of, like, you know more than me, I know more than you, but I'm going to give you the framework in which to participate, and you can experience the making of music. It's paint by numbers via music, right? I can give you that experience because I'm giving you the structure. So the dissonance for me at this early in the conversation, 14, 15 minutes in, is we're both talking about the experience of the audience understanding the structure and the desire for the artist to break outside of the structure and do something new. And I don't know if you can collapse those two things into the same artist.
I don't I don't know that they collapse in the same artist at the same time, Eric. I think they're sequential. And so this is one of the hypotheses I want to put forth. Your question was like such a great intro to this hypothesis. So I think I'm gonna put a hypothesis out there, and that is with the purpose of testing it and whipping it. So feel free to disagree. When we're young, we are largely in an exploratory phase. We are upstarts. We want to disrupt things. We want to change the world, right? Every commencement speech at high school, my daughter just graduated. Every commencement speech is like, now you're going to go out and change the world with your fresh ideas, right? Like, it's like all engineered to be the explorer, the disruptor. Find who you are and change the world, right? And then this is a hypothesis. I'm not saying this is the case, but this is a hypothesis. You're the explorer for a while and you're hungry as fuck, right? Eric, think about how hungry you are when you first started making furniture.
I'm still
You're
hungry.
like, yeah, I'm gonna test. I'm gonna like push the boundaries. I'm gonna fuck people up with my designs, right? And then as you get older and time moves on and you've kind of scratched that itch, you enter a different phase of perhaps being more the collaborator. Life's about joy and bringing joy to others and uniting people. And we know the data from the Harvard study of adult development, it's about deep relationships. It's not about just being alone all the time and like pursuing your exploratory ideas. It's about deep relationships that are meaningful to you. And that all smells of inviting people into your life. Perhaps you have children, perhaps you have a wife, perhaps you have a house, and things slow down from the explorer phase, right? You're not so hot and hungry when you're older, but you're wiser and more integrative. So my suggestion, that my hypothesis to be clear, is that often these phases, Eric, maybe don't co-occur in one person at one time. They can, of course. And I think our later discussion that we'll have on Rick Rubin may suggest this, but I think it's a development. It's often developmental. When we're young, we're the explorer, and as we age, we're more the collaborator. Please feel free.
So I'd like to bring something in there. So you guys had a great episode talking about the big five and personalities. So I think there's one aspect of this which certain people have certain proclivities to maybe be more of an explorer, more conservative and looking for safety, comfort, security versus, novelty, adventure seeking, risk seeking, and that. So I think there's one aspect which is just personality. Another thought, Piaget was a developmental psychologist who's kind of key with Big Five and other aspects of psychology. But his thesis was just early childhood is a point where we're all learning the rules. But we don't learn the rules by someone telling us, do this, do this, do this, do that. What we do is we go out into the world, we have a ball, we play kickball, and we start going back and forth, and you navigate the rules in a social context, and we build those rules together in a collaborative fashion. So this rule learning is often in a collaborative social environment, and kids that aren't exposed to that actually don't learn rule making as much. So it's just a thought to bring in there. When we're young, we're figuring out the rules, we're making the rules, and then we're also breaking the rules. We're pushing those boundaries. Kids act out. You get to your teens and you just want to break everything. You're not coming home at night. You're getting trashed. Like, yeah, burn it all to the ground. I don't want to be part of society. I don't want to fucking be part of any of this. Screw my parents. Like, yeah.
They don't understand
They
me.
should have done better.
So that I think there's a certain developmental aspect, like you're saying, like, man, you just want to break the rules. And certainly in my early development for myself as an artist, it was like, I want to break the rules. I don't want to do this stuff that everybody's been doing for the past, however many years. I want to do something completely different and break
I'm
it
gonna
all
fuck
down.
this shit up.
Yeah, tear it down to the scorched earth.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the idea of games, because that's immediately what I thought of. Like, if you've ever played a game, if you ever played a collaborative game or a board game or a creative game with somebody else, like, you're working within the structure of the game. You know that, like, there is a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, there's a goal there. And there's nothing more frustrating than playing let's just take a board game, for example. A board game with somebody that keeps going like, well, actually, I've been playing this game a lot, and like house rules. So like that doesn't, they keep changing the rules on you. Like, what's the fucking structure? Like, what are we doing? What is the point of this game? And I think music is similar in that regard, right? You're the professional musician. Please tell me to shut the fuck up and stay in my lane.
Oh, you got it.
But I think there is that component of it of like, listen, we understand, at least in Western society, we grew up with certain structures that are resonant and pleasing to our ears and to our souls. And so as long as we play within the boundaries of these structures, we can do anything we want. But there's always that one guy who's like, but what if, what if I play a B sharp? You're like, well, that doesn't exist, so go fuck yourself. And he's like, no, but like, what if I do it? And that can be really difficult to collaborate with.
Eric, as Thomson described himself in his early musical career as wanting to break the rules and see what's possible.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was you also in your early woodworking career?
I mean, flat answer, yes. I think the idea of it being a developmental thing, I wanted to push back against, but I don't think I can in good faith.
Bitch, the research says it's.
I mean, and it's fair. It's fair. I think we all, anybody who has a driving passion to create, probably also, and this could be an overstep, but I think it probably also has a driving passion to discover their own voice. And I think part of that is going like, you have told me that X plus Y equals Z, but I have to find out for myself.
Right.
So yes, when I was early on in my career, I was like, you said that like walnut and purple heart don't go together, but like, what if, like, do you know that? Like, I have to figure it out myself. So yeah, I think there was a big component of pushing back against the status quo, and I know better than you, and that doesn't lead to good collaborative pieces.
No, and it doesn't invite an audience. Right? You're this young upstart just trying to fuck shit up and figure out who you are.
You're better than everybody else. So of course, like, if the audience doesn't get you, it's just because you're so smart that like, Eric, they don't understand your vision.
I was thinking about like artists as explorer, artists as collaborate, and some of the things that correlate with that based on people's how people see that or perceive that in the domain. So people, I think, often think of artistes like, I make art with their long like cigarette extender, right? I make art because I'm interested in as arrogant, self-indulgent, occasionally genius, right? But like mostly negative. There's a lot of negative connotation that comes with the kind of the explorer. Like, they don't care how I feel. I came to the show and they fucking noodled around. I don't know what the fuck. And then how do people see a concert? What were we seeing? Ben Folds or Jacob Collier, who like invites the audience in and makes them feel part of something that maybe they're not even qualified to be part of, like on their own. You know what I mean? They don't have the skills to hang with Jacob Collier, but he invites them into like this joint thing. And they'd say it was transcendent. It brought me away to a new place from my daily grind. It gave me a sense of community, a sense of belonging. I was dancing, I was singing. I felt culturally tuned in to all these beautiful humans around me, which I do think plays into who we are as humans from a DNA like level. So like those two things, the artist as the explorer has many negative connotations often associated with it, and as the collaborator has many positive associations with it. However, I will push back on my own point. I will say there are trade-offs. because breakthroughs are probably not going to happen when you're playing your hits to the crowd that they love. You're just rehearsing what you've already done. Whereas breakthroughs will much more likely occur when you're on your own, considering new ideas, challenging the status quo, and you're hungry, hot, and bothered. I think the probability of breaking new ground is higher in one case versus the
Is
other.
that
Eric,
true,
you're,
though?
Eric, you're.
Is that all right? I want to stick in the music universe right now.
Okay.
And let's take Ben Folds, Jacob Collier as examples of people who are open to exploring new experiences with audiences versus the Rolling Stones, for example. They put out a fucking album in 2026. You know who doesn't want new music from fucking Mick Jagger in 2026? Anybody but Mick Jagger, right? But he, I imagine, like, thinks of himself as the explorer, as the person like trying to do something new, trying to reinvent 60s rock in 50 fucking years later. So I don't necessarily know that it's you have to be on your own stepping out into the abyss. I think you can invite people on that journey with you.
Eric, let me push back on you again.
Please, I love it when you push me from the back.
When did you make your most when did you make your most influential like statement pieces? Was it at the behest of your audience, or was it when you had something deep inside you that you were searching for?
Sure. But that's I'm
no, just give me this sure stuff. No. You don't get to fucking sideline my rebuttal, fucker.
Listen, I don't disagree with your point. Yes, I have said on this podcast before that I think my best work has often come from moments of deep self-reflection. However, I am me, and we work in a medium that is relatively isolated. Yeah. Like we work as individual furniture makers, and there's not like we collaborate because we seek that out, but that's not the norm in woodworking versus music. To play the upright bass by itself and to be exceptional at it is a rare fucking talent. So to be able to communicate emotion via the upright bass as its own instrument, and that's it. That's 1 out of a million. Most of the time, the upright bass is in symphony with other instruments to create something larger than itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wait, so is that saying I was right?
Yeah, you were right, motherfucker. Get the fuck over yourself.
No. It's not actually me being right. It's just this idea. that explorer time is when some really important breakthroughs occur. And we would say like that's when your authenticity might be highest. Like your true authenticity of like kind of who you are, your voice, and your voice is always mired with other influences outside yourself. I don't mean to say you have one true voice and there's nobody else involved. That's a fallacy. Obviously community is involved in your voice, but when I'm looking for who I really am, I have to turn the volume down, I think, around me and just kind of listen to myself. So perhaps in explorer mode, I can hear myself think more clearly than if I'm listening to this person say, oh, you should do this, or this person, oh, you should do that. Oh, you should use more of this. You should integrate more of that. So like this idea of explorer versus collaborator, I think it has a parallel to authenticity of your voice or like clarity of your own voice.
I can't disagree with that. I want to hear what Thomson thinks because we've been mansplaining music to him for like 10 minutes now.
No, you have. I've been talking about the other.
I mean, it can go so many ways. So I think like with what you're saying with the musician as explorer, at least with myself, a lot of times when I was coming up, I could say, I was searching for something outside myself. I was trying to find something somewhere, go to a new destination. And for myself, maybe with maturity, what I found is it was there within yourself. Like you had to find the origin, your original voice. So I think, whereas maybe when we're young, we're searching for something, searching everywhere, and we think it's somewhere else. But eventually, as an artist, with your maturity, you find like, no, it's right here. This is my voice. I don't need to discover something absolutely new. All I need to do is be myself to find the originality of what I have to say. So I think that's part of maybe maturity, and maybe why as artists develop and they get older, we might say, they're just kind of repeating themselves. But in a certain sense, maybe they found themselves. They found their core. They found the place that just exemplifies who and what they are, what they have to say. Yeah, just some thoughts
And they
there.
became famous for it and then leaned on it.
Yeah. And also, how many times can you reinvent yourself? If you're just taking the explorer facet, like, can I really reinvent myself every 10 years to become an like, I'm going to become, there are only so many ways you can reconceptualize any art form. Like, maybe we're just limited by the way we view the world. Like, I can't change how I see color every 5 years or every 10 years as a painter. I can only kind of reconfigure things, see shapes differently, change myself, still resonate with
Oh,
my medium.
yes.
But
Thompson said to me earlier in the week, does any one person have the neuroplasticity to reinvent themselves multiple times or like continue reinventing yourself throughout their life? So I want to come to some research on this. Okay. There is a huge body of research on this topic. Like, when do people do their best work in a field? Do they get dull? Do they get stale? Can they reinvent themselves multiple times? There's a and it started, it started in the 1800s, actually, some of the earliest observations. But in the 1950s, a huge book was written about this topic, and there's been people who have followed that. So let me give you the first observation about this. So there was someone called Lehman who published a big book on the topic of when in life do you do your best work? What age? You know, is this a time limited offer? And Lehman, Lehman, Lehman quantified, like, when do doctors, medical doctors, do their best work? When do physicists make their biggest discoveries? When do artists make their seminal breakthrough paintings? Or, you know, musicians? And it was quantified over like almost every, every possible job, and the pattern was deafeningly clear. You do the best work seems to occur when you're like 30s and maybe early 40s, and then it's like goes up to a peak around 30 or 40, and then it's precipitous downtrend after that, right? 50, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, right? And so Lehman published this and said, well, your best work, your best ideas comes when you're like 30 or 40, and then it's downhill from there. And boy, did that cause a stir, because a whole bunch of other scientists were like, oh, hold on, broski. It's not that easy. Like, are you considering quantity? Like, maybe you put out more ideas when you're 30 or 40, or more papers, or, maybe you're publishing more, maybe you're doing more than you are when you're 60. And that the probability of a good idea is the same at both ages. It's just you're doing 3 times the work when you're young, because you're young and hungry and poor, and you want to get a career under you and prove yourself. So another scientist named Dennis argued exactly that this is not correct, and that it's a result of quantity, not just quality. And through a rigorous study, he showed that it's quantity that's happening in your late 30s, 40s. You're doing more, and that's why good ideas are happening. But the probability of a good idea is the same when you're 30 versus when you're 50 or 60. So that was a really interesting wrinkle to the whole idea that you peak when you're 30 or 40 and it's all downhill from there. But that's actually representative of the quantity of work you're doing. And then a third scientist, Simonton, said, yes, this is correct. He backed this up with a massive data set. He said, Dennis is correct. It's about quantity. The probability of a great idea is stable throughout your life, and it is about volume. But he wanted to talk about when the good idea happens in your life. Like we said, it's 30 or 40 and then it's downhill. It's not your chronological age that determines it. It's your career age that determines it. So in other words, you might start a career and maybe 5 to 10 years later, you'll have your apex, your breakthrough, and then it's downhill. But if you switch careers, you'll have another one. It's not your chronological age. It's your career age. And I thought that was a fascinating idea because Thomson, you just switched careers, bitch.
Yeah, I like that one. Yep. Because I do have to say, I mean, having heard of this whole scientific study, it almost bothers me to think like, oh, as an artist, am I really unable to have more of an impact and come up with new ideas like that? Is it limited kind of by your network? So one thing I would say to that is we're building our network early on, and to have an impact, you need to have the relationships, know the people, have a certain established authority and credentials and trust of whatever your peers are to be able to make an impact. But then, like you're saying, I mean, 20, 30 years later, can I still have an impact? Or will I just be seen as, an old has-been that's kind of done it? But I think you could reinvent yourself in a new career. So maybe, like I went into engineering. So I started as an engineer. I was a musician for about 25 years, and then I went back into engineering. Now I'm doing AI, software, and so forth. Still doing architecture, still thinking about these things, but it feels like a whole second leg to my life, which is great. It's like a new place to explore, new areas to go, and I'm just kind of on the up and up in that area. So it feels like I have all this excitement that I ended up kind of lacking a little bit in the artistic career.
Man.
Eric, what do you think?
I try not to, but I don't know. It's I don't know what I think about that. I found myself wanting to push back at multiple points, but then you kept coming back around to points where I was like, well, I can't disagree with that.
Why do you want to disagree with me all the time?
Because that's our roles on the podcast, bitch. No, I mean, look, I'm closing in on 15 years into this career, and like we've talked, you and I, many a time about I don't know that I have any more ideas left, and so maybe that timeline does pan out. I am in a point now where I find myself, I was just talking to a couple of people over the last week about this. I'm more interested in teaching than I am in making, and maybe that comes back around at the beginning of the conversation. About,
that's art as the collaborator versus art as the explorer.
The structure, the structure. Like I feel as though, and this could be a very arrogant statement, so please forgive me if it's overstepping or push back against me. But I feel like I have explored all of the areas of my field. That's not to say that there are unseen corners that I haven't explored, but overwhelmingly, there's 7 stories in literature to be written, right? And similarly in furniture, I feel like I have said everything that I have to say, and I am more interested in this moment in explaining the structure and seeing new people find that same level of excitement about the structure and about their capacity than I am in continuing to explore my own capacity.
Sounds like maturity to me.
Yeah, maybe it's just fatigue. Maybe it's maturity. I don't know. There's no way to know,
It might be both, because there's an age component to this and there's a career cycle component, right? Or sorry, there's a chronological age and a career age. And Eric, they're both happening to you at the same time.
Yeah, I'm getting old at the same time from both.
Like you're getting long in your career.
In both simultaneously.
I find this idea of a career age, meaning like, look, we can only come to the table with so many upstart original thoughts in one domain. And you run out of ideas, right? You burn bright early on. There's a lot of gas. You pour it on the fire. The fire burns like crazy, like out of control. You're so hot about these ideas. You can't even, you don't go to bed till 2 a.m. because you're so motivated to stay in the shop, to Thomson, practicing late into the night, right? Yep.
Yeah, 2
every
a.m.
possible fucking modal. I'm gonna mix Liddy in this fucking shit. And Eric, you're probably like late into the night, like because you want to realize these ideas because you're so fucking hot about them when you're early in the career and often early in your life, and they often correlate. But then as you scratch all the itches, and Eric, you said you've explored a lot of areas within woodworking. All right. I kind of see. You don't have
that doesn't
as strong.
diminish the admiration or the love for the thing. No. But it does make you go like, do I want to stay up till 2 a.m. in the shop tonight? You know, like I have a rough idea of where this idea is going to lead, which is on the one hand, that's wisdom, right? Because you can see down the road before you traverse it. On the other hand, that's a little bit sad because you don't bother to traverse down some roads that might lead to new things because you go like, I think it will probably end up here, even if it's not a guarantee.
Yeah. It's true. It's just, I think the career life cycle is wow, this is a whole new idea. And I've been reeling this whole week based on some of these things. But, to speak
hold on. Paul, where are you in the science career cycle? This is a safe space. Your bosses aren't going to listen to this.
Oh,
I think.
Boy.
Oh,
it's a bit of a mixed
think about
bag.
This
You got him.
huh?
You got him.
Yeah,
I didn't. Oh, fuck you. I didn't think about it at all. God damn it.
7 hours of prepreparation for this pod, and you didn't self-reflect at all, you son of a bitch.
I was thinking about you guys more than I was thinking about myself. I would say it's a bit of a mixed bag. If I was left to my own devices on what I want to study, I'd probably be bored. Like the career life cycle has largely played out. But fortunately for me, I'm given projects that I wouldn't otherwise pick. And they're always new. It's always a new domain area. So even though I know the scientific process is the same, it's all new stuff. It's like a new disease. It's like a whole new drug type or modality or like approach. And so that keeps it fresh every time. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. It's like, yes, it's science and yes, I know it well, but everything feels fresh because it's always a new problem I've never seen before. And that to me is like the sweet spot for my career. But I did want to say the last time I stayed up till 2 a.m., like just because I couldn't stop, right? I was so hot, was just like a week or two ago when my daughter asked me to be the DJ for her graduation party.
This was, I have to admit, this was my favorite text I've gotten from you in years. I just got a random fucking video of a party happening. And then I was watching the video and I was like, is that like no context, no text, no nothing. I just got a video and I watched it and I was like, is Paul DJing this party of like 100 teenagers? What the fuck is happening?
There were 80 teenagers in my backyard, and I was like real DJing, like beat matching tracks, overlapping them, with fading in and filters, high pass filter, and like bumping the beat. All the kids are like dancing. It was crazy out there.
I got to see that.
Man. I was because I've DJ'd once or twice in my life before that, way back in grad school, but I kind of forgot a lot of it, and the whole mixer, and like I had to like reorient, and I didn't want to crash and burn for my daughter. Like this is her party. I want it to kill, right? And so I'm up at 2 a.m. in my living room. My house is shaking because it's got to be loud, right? My poor wife's upstairs asleep with house music bumping, and I got the TV on YouTube playing like some fractal pattern to get me in the mood. I'm 2 bourbons deep, and I'm absolutely mixing these 2 house tracks together. And I look at the time; it's like 2 a.m. And I'm like, motherfucker, what am I doing? But it dawns on me that is that excitement of a new discipline.
Yeah, something it's the excitement of the new. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm trying to get it. And I know I have a deadline looming. So to speak about a career age, like I'm so fresh on that DJ career, not that it's a career, but that was the last time I was motivated to stay up.
I am going to promote you as a party DJ for the next 5 to 6 years until you burn
Eric,
out.
I'm not motivated to stay up in the wood shop till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm not motivated to go out and do jazz gigs till 2 a.m. anymore. Yeah,
No?
I want to. Nope. Not at that not that hour. I'd rather be
So-
home. Yeah.
So Thompson, what does motivate you? Like what keeps you up till 2 a.m. at this point?
Not much. I would say. Yeah. I mean, you need something with adrenaline. So
Yeah.
maybe if I find pottery or some new pursuit like that just brings me in, I could see there.
But you switched back to engineering recently.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. Yeah.
So tell me about that, and that's not driving that same passion?
It's definitely driving the passion for architecture, complexity, systems theory. It's still a lot of the same drives in general, but I would say for one thing, just professionally, my hours are much earlier. Like I'm waking up at 5 a.m. So yeah, my need to be up at 2 is definitely not happening. But also as a professional now, I have this very structured format, which ironically I never had all the way up to my 40s, which is as a musician, you're making your own hours most of the time. You're practicing during the day, creating your own structure. And then now I'm working a corporate day gig, and it's 9 to 5, man. It's a totally different world where you're just clocking those hours. I might do overtime or something, but yeah, it's not quite the same excitement, adrenaline, and so forth.
Do the hours go fast, Thompson? Sorry, Eric, you're next.
The hours do go fast, yeah, because I'm pretty involved, just like I used to do with composition and so forth. I'm working inside like a software diagrams and writing code and things like that. So it's definitely still very intense, and the hours go by. Yeah.
What's the mental load of like that position that you're in now, and it's new and exciting, sure, versus the mental load of practicing and preparing for a gig? Do you find that like it's an unfair advantage because the one is new and in the other you've been doing for 20 years or whatever?
Yeah.
But like, like is one more draining? Are you still doing gigs? When you practice for that gig, is it more just like rote memorization? You're like, okay, I know this so well, I got to go do a thing. Is it Paul making a box? Is it, or is it like, well, I don't mean that derogatorily. Like boxes so fucking well. You're so like you've been making them for 15 fucking years.
I'm just messing.
So I'm just wondering how, like, what is the placement of the new job in your life mentally versus what you've been doing for the last 15 years?
Yeah, totally. So it's definitely very intense with having to learn all these new disciplines, learn different ways of thinking about things. I would have to say in doing that, there have been times where I've been very busy and I haven't had time to practice, and I've had a gig coming up and I've had a bit of anxiety because I'm like, how am I going to manage this gig? Like I haven't been playing properly. Like, how am I going to do it? And what I find is when I pick up my instrument, it all just falls right back. It's right there. Like the physicality of it, all the patterns I've done.
Bro, 25 years of playing every day, like 4 to 8 hours a day for 20 years.
Yeah, you embody
Holy
it.
shit.
Yeah. I don't think Keith Richards practices anymore at this point.
He doesn't need to. Yeah. And I think there's something about music and a lot of physical hobbies and pursuits that we do. It's very embodied. So there's an intelligence of the body that's very visceral and that takes place. And it's not just a cognitive, it's about how we use our hands. So even if my mind mentally might not be in that place, once I start playing, the physicality of all that action just brings me right back into it, and I'm playing. And I think anything with your hands, you just have that relationship. It's visceral.
We've talked about this so many fucking times on this podcast. Like this is the argument. Like people, I don't know how to approach this argument, but like, sometimes you hire like a mason or a carpenter or a roofer, and you're like, I don't know if that guy is sober as he's working on my house, but it is a thing, and I'm not encouraging working of an altered state of mind on the job. However, there is a thing, the intelligence of the hands and the intelligence of the mind are often two separate things. And you can do a thing, you can know it so well. And if you don't have the luxury of exploring new avenues because you got bills to pay, you got kids to feed, you got a roof to keep over your head, sometimes those folks imbibe early on in the day, and their hands know enough that they can carry them through the workday. In the same way, I don't think that's dissimilar from being like, I haven't picked up the instrument in 2.5 weeks, but when I go to this gig, I did it for 25 years. I know this instrument in and out, and I know that my hands will know what to do.
People ask, can you still play the trombone? And I haven't picked it up in a year or two at a time. Absolutely. You pick it up, it's right there.
Yep.
Because you did it for so many years.
Yep.
It's permanently encoded. It's like there's no
did that with
losing
my nephew recently. I picked up my trumpet for the first time in probably 15 years. And immediately I was like, no, my embouchure was not great anymore.
Sure.
You know?
The muscle tone is dead.
Sure.
Yeah.
But all of the muscle memory was there. And he was like, whatever, play, give me a Aeolian scale. And I just did. Like, I don't even know that I could intellectually articulate it, but it was there. The muscle memory, the fingers were there.
There you go. Man, and you said you didn't know music. You know music.
I know, he's
Aeolian
modal scales, whatever, you dick.
I dabble in a Phrygian every now and again.
Okay,
hey,
tough guy.
You know who else dabbles in a Phrygian every now and again is our Lord and Savior, Billiam Teresa Burkle. At WTB Woodworking at 390 Pike Road, Unit 2, Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, 19006. I don't know if I've ever given the zip code. Paul, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about wood turning blanks?
I feel like they're important to get right, that you need the correct, interesting material, because if you start with an ugly blank, you're going to create an ugly pen or an ugly wood turned object.
That's fair. How do you feel about getting 10% off all wood turning blanks in store? Does that make you feel better about taking creative risks?
What I think is that would minimize my probability of being pissed that I picked the wrong blank.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Now, Thomson, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about slabs?
I love slabs.
Have you ever made an instrument out of a slab?
I've never made an instrument out of a slab. No.
Okay, but if you were to make an instrument out of a slab, wouldn't it feel good to get that slab for 50% off in store? Like if you were to take that creative risk?
In a second.
In a goddamn second. Yeah. Okay? Let me tell you one more thing about William Teresa Burkle. The summer cast iron credit promotion from SawStop is actively in place. So if you purchase any new SawStop cast iron table in store through July 31st, which is maybe before this episode comes out.
When?
There's no way to know. I'm reasonably confident
What's
that this episode will come out July 31st.
Oh, it's before July 31st.
Okay. You might have like 3 to 4 business days.
It's July 22nd this comes out.
Oh, okay. You got like 11 days or whatever the fuck that is. 9 days. If you purchase an in-store a cast iron SawStop, you can get a online store credit of up to $450. So go do that thing and ask Bill for a hug and a squeeze and a caress. Paul, how do you feel about gorillas?
Well, first of all, gorillas should not be made into glue. Let's start with that.
Nobody has ever said that, my brother.
Okay. That's the first. I want to start with. No gorillas were harmed in the making of glue.
How do you feel about gorillas working in a production environment?
I think gorillas are probably. I think they're probably capable of a lot more than we realize.
Yeah. Do you think they could work an assembly line situation?
High-level primates are capable of a lot more. Remember Coco the gorilla, who learned like what?
Yeah, we dated in high school, I think.
Sorry.
She learned 2,000
Coco-
words.
No, like Coco the gorilla had a vocabulary of what was it, 10,000 signs or 2,000 sign language? Like Coco was speaking in
Couldn't tell you.
almost
She,
full sentences. So
she
I think,
she never communicated well with me, but that's neither here nor there.
I think gorillas are capable of a lot more than we think, Eric.
Okay, what do you think about? Nope. I was gonna.
No,
I was gonna ask you how
No.
you feel about gorillas filling holes.
No.
But then
Gorilla Glue is great in terms of its wood filler for filling holes when you drive nails in, Eric. And you leave these huge divots because you couldn't give a shit to control the intensity of the nail gun.
Wow, that
I'm
was
sorry. What?
uncalled for.
In fact, I did it the other day. I was actually de-rodentizing my shop,
Yeah,
putting
you were.
huge blocks of wood
You
into
rat
the eaves
bastard.
where the rodents in my shop have set up like a nightclub. they'll hang out up there, fucking dancing and shit. It's very artist as a collaborator. They're very collaborative up in the eaves of my shop. So I like filled them in, and I shot with a nail gun, and if I were to fill the holes, I would fill it with a Gorilla Glue wood filler.
Goddamn right you would. How did you glue them in? Did you glue them in with Gorilla Wood Glue?
I did.
Goddamn right you did.
I did.
Because you know why? Because it has less water, more glue, and a stronger bond than the other guys.
I mean, I used nails as well that I filled with
Sure.
the wood filler,
But
I
nails,
started-
what
Yeah,
are
start
nails
with the
but a
wood glue.
permanent clamp? You know?
Yeah.
You know? If you want to think of it that way. Listen, I'll tell you this. It
Please.
cleans up with water. It's non-foaming. And that bond, it's actually stronger than the wood itself.
Stronger than the bond you formed with your gorilla girlfriend in high school.
Goddamn right. Listen, Coco was a gentle but attentive lover. Okay?
God, where were we?
Gorilla's tough enough for the pros, easy enough for everyone. You should order yours today at GorillaTough.com/woodworkingisbs. That's GorillaTough.com/woodworkingisbs. And thanks to Gorilla Glue for sponsoring this week's video. And to Billiam Teresa Burkle.
Thanks, Bill. If we weren't canceled before, we're going to be canceled now. Just want to say that.
Because I dated a gorilla? That's so
Okay.
fucking speciest of you. Okay?
Back to the matter at hand, Eric. Holy shit. Artist as explorer is art for the artist versus is art for the audience. And we've traversed a lot of ground. We've talked about it. The two poles and the reputations associated with each. We've talked about it. Perhaps it's a developmental cycle, not so much chronologically, but maybe topically, like within a career, that there's a certain life cycle in a career, and it often correlates with lifetime often. So it's easy to kind of mix those. One interesting point that we didn't get to that I want to bring on, Eric, is how this applies to woodworking. I would like to draw a distinct parallel. So we've talked a lot about craft versus designer versus artist, right? We have 2 episodes on art versus craft. And in those episodes, you'd say, okay, art is for the artist, right? Like, I'm going to make this, and if people don't understand it, it's their problem, contemporary art, right? And craft has often been a little bit looked down on as like utilitarian. It's a Windsor chair. Well, that's not very creative. But one of the things that I sort of stumbled upon as I was thinking about how the art for the artist versus art for the audience, you'd say art for the audience is craft, right? Like it has a function, and therefore craft has an audience floor associated with it, right? Craft, whether it's cutting boards or chairs or benches or beds or whatever, or dressers, they have a innate function associated with them. That's why we call them craft. They're part of a tradition, and they have a built-in audience. The audience comes with it. Everyone needs a cutting board. Everyone needs a chair. Everyone needs right? Whereas art for the sake of art doesn't necessarily come part and parcel with an audience. you have to earn that audience, whether it's through storytelling or like, oh, I'm trying to make a piece that, challenges the thinking of this. And you have to kind of tell your story, like, and earn that audience through art. Whereas craft comes with a built-in audience, part and parcel of it being functional. What do you think?
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I think the craft furniture versus art furniture is a little unfair in this argument because our craft furniture, the pieces that we make that have a function have a very clear inherent value. So it's very easy to say, like, yeah, you need a chair because you're too lazy to sit on the fucking floor and develop lower back muscles. Like that's versus in a context like music, I think it's maybe harder to convince people. Maybe not. Thompson,
Yeah.
please push back on me. But I think it's harder to tell people that like this thing is beautiful because you know it versus this is beautiful because I'm exploring it and I believe it's beautiful and you should trust me.
Yeah, so kind of tangential to that, another framework I had thinking about music and art is the cultural aspect. So if you go to see a blues concert, there's a whole cultural component and history involved with that that might be very specific to a certain population subset of people. By the same token, we could go hear an Indian concert, or maybe there's a Chinese ensemble coming that you go hear a concert of that you would never have the opportunity to hear otherwise. Similarly, you have cultural components to crafts like shaker furniture or something. So I think there can be a certain cultural sense where it's not just functional, but it's also a cultural component to the things that might draw us to them. You might be into arts and crafts. You might be like a Frank Lloyd Wright, how he ties furniture into the functionality of a chair and a table, but it actually embeds itself within the home itself. So you have artistic movements, you have cultural movements. I think there's another aspect to it involving culture.
Is there a function for music specifically? Is there a function that music plays in our lives in the same way that like a dining table plays or a kitchen cabinet plays? Like what does music do for us that makes a musician a craftsman versus an artist?
That's such a great question, Eric.
Thanks. I have at least, I got one an episode. That's my burn. I'm going to sit back now.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But I think if you look at music functionally, like dance is the foundation of music, dance and rhythm. And you're going to see that
hold on. That's a really interesting statement. So are you saying that like dance is the thing that made music happen? Like
yes.
We wanted to dance and therefore we made music to allow us to dance?
Thompson, educate us.
God damn, go on, brother.
Yeah, so I would say that rhythm is the most primal force involved in music making all around. It's an internal rhythm. Again, it comes back to the embodiment of sound. So if you look at every culture across the entire world, what's the first instrument? You basically have the voice and you have drums. And drums, dance, and rhythm. So all of these are part of rituals. They're part of coming of age rites. When people get married, when you're coming of age, when someone dies and you have a funeral, music is a thing that's tied in almost religiously in terms of every part of our existence, for every festival, for every season passing, for every birthday. So music, I think, is like this incredibly potent rhythmic force that I'm losing the thread here, but
no, that's fucking brilliant. So I guess what I'm wondering is like if we're gonna tie this back to craft versus artist and woodworker versus fucking studio furniture maker, whatever it is, like there's
dismissive much.
Well, I like as a studio furniture maker, like maybe get over myself a little bit. But there's this component from the way that you're communicating this idea, which is really interesting, and I feel like this is an entirely different episode. But is the person who makes objects born out of those primal desires in the same way that like music, to your suggestion, and I have no reason to disagree, music is born out of the desire to move rhythmically and like be in a community. Is the furniture maker born out of the person who makes the wooden drum or the drum out of the horn? And then we go like, well, you can make the drum, so maybe you can also make a stool because they're like kind of roughly the same object. And we need a place to sit because she's 65 and her knees don't work as well. Like, is there, you know what I'm getting at?
I do. I see.
Like,
It's
there's a loose tie there.
The primal force that drives music to be rhythmic is very lizard brain.
Yeah.
And then there's music that's very ivory tower.
Sure.
Many layers of abstraction.
Sure.
Modal this, thought that. It's like super intellectualized by the human brain.
And in the same way.
Is there a direct parallel to woodworking?
Well, in the same way, there is like at some point, some caveman looked at his mother and went like, "You have a hard time squatting all the way down to the ground. Maybe I make a stump for you to sit on." And then out of that was born the ivory tower version of like, well, my furniture is good because of the way I draw the eye around the piece. So intuit the fucking viewer. Like, go fuck yourself. Just
Atlas
sit on the
table.
fucking stool.
What's up, Atlas table? Okay, so Eric, you tell me. What's the lizard brain equivalent of woodworking? I think it's like cutting boards and spoons and stools and chairs and tables, right?
Yeah, I think it's useful tools. Like it is objects that play a central role in the communal life. And then probably like a Acholian hand axes or whatever the fuck it is, Jack. Acholian hand axes,
yeah.
At some point, some like 18-year-old dude was like, you made a stump, but like if I made a sexier stump, maybe I'll get laid more. And like the furniture studio movement was born, like
well, it definitely the whole intellectualization of whether it's music or craft, I mean, it does seem to reek of some kind of, I don't know, pushing the boundaries or evolution of something. So it's like, okay, we've been doing what's the necessity for a long time, whether it's like dance and primal or spoons and chairs, but like, can we take it to that next level that's not so primal, that's less lizard brain and more, Homo sapien brain, above the lizard level?
But is it Homo sapien specific? Like, is it? Are the birds
Eric,
who do stupid fucking dances to try to get another bird to fuck? Is that Eric. That's not lizard brain? That's bird brain.
Bird brain.
No,
like you get some birds out there in the African safari, just like
oh god,
like
okay. I don't know. That's a whole
I don't think we're the
discussion.
only ones who do it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm
shitting on it right now, and I think rightfully so. But I think, in fairness, Eric, I don't think this is a uniquely human experience.
Eric, what you're bringing up is, where do you draw the line on what is a lizard brain and what is higher sentient thinking beyond the lizard brain? And I'm not prepared to address that right now. But what I am prepared to address is the next topic, which is Rick Rubin's take on artist as explorer versus artist as collaborator. And Rick Rubin would say, it's not about your lifetime. It doesn't happen across a life. It doesn't have to happen on these timescales. Every project is a small unit of this. What do you call, like, every project in isolation can be this workflow. So when you start a project, for example, Eric, you're going to start a new project, right? Or Thomson, you're going to start a new composition.
Mm-hmm.
You want to start as the explorer. You want to minimize the noise from the outside. You want to be your true, authentic self. Rick Rubin would say you want to create without influence based on who's going to like it or whether the audience wants this, the audience wants that, because that degrades the true you. And then after you make the piece of art, then you release it into the wild. And then you can like play it a bunch of times and interact with the audience a bunch of times and tour stadiums and, talk about it and do interviews and like have the collaborative experience after you've made the art. And this is a small unit of work. It's I make it without considering the audience, and then afterwards, once I release it, I very much invite the audience and consider it. Then on my next piece, I go back into the studio and I'm true to myself again. I'm the explorer again. I put the the blinders on, and so that's kind of Rick Rubin's, that it's not over a career and it's not chronological over a life, but this is a workflow that occurs each and every project. What do you think?
I love Rick Rubin's take. I mean, big inspiration. It's just incredible, guys working on Slayer, Beastie Boys, and who knows what else. But yeah, he's always talking about the workflow, and it's about
It's like
it's the
it's
process.
like an episodic or an episodic framework, Thompson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every project is in and of itself one episode, right?
Yeah, and it's just he always just has this. He's delving in, and like you become one with your art. You get into that workflow. You find out, what is this piece saying? What am I trying to create here? What is this wood speaking to me? Like, listen. So there's a certain openness and listeningness, a presence to. I've got this piece of wood here. What does it want to become? What am I hearing? I have to listen. I have to open myself up to it, and then start to have a vision. And then he talks about, then the craftsman comes in after you start to have that vision of the insight of what this should be, what your project should be. So there's always a craft involved, but there's that openness and inspiration that has to happen first.
So it's like you're the artist as the explorer early in each project. You're the artist as the explorer, and then you switch to the craftsman or the artist as collaborator within each unit of project, or within each project. You wear both hats, and you repeat that pattern again and again and again.
Yep.
What do you think, Eric? Yeah.
I don't disagree with any of that. I think Rick Rubin, insofar as I understand his career, and I've watched several YouTube videos of him kind of explaining this process, is one of one, in that he is exceptional in the ability not even to go from explorer to editor, but the ability specifically to identify what stage of exploration the person that he's working with is in, which is like, that's a teacher. He's
he's
fucking
like a mentor.
phenomenal teacher.
He's a mentor.
Yeah. He can spend a couple hours with you, an afternoon, a day, whatever it is, and identify where you're at and then meet you where you're at. And I think that's probably his superpower, because he knows the craft so well that he can go, okay, so you're capable of X level of exploration. I'm going to let you push your boundaries. And then I'm going to bring this whole conversation back to, well, what is going to make your vision approachable or understandable or digestible by the larger audience? That's his superpower, insofar as I understand it.
What do you think about his episodic framework as opposed to a career? Like we've been talking earlier about, you're the explorer earlier in life, and then later on you're the mentor. And it's true in art, it's true in business, it's true in science. In my early science career, I was the explorer, and now I'm the mentor. I'm the leader. I'm expected to teach others. This is true across discipline. So there's like this big arching chronological idea that it's a life-based developmental cycle. Then there's the idea that it's a career-based developmental cycle, that it's like, oh, you have to change topics to feel the newness again, and it's a cycle within a field. It's like field-based. And then there's the idea that it's even shorter than that. It's project-based. You see what I'm saying? It's like a time scale change from life to project to life to topic or area to even project that this life cycle takes.
Well, I could be wrong on this, but I think insofar as all of the major artists that I've heard have worked with Rick Rubin, it's always been between 1 and 3 albums. Like it's not an extended period of time. And it could be the first album that they do, but more likely it's usually like the third to fifth album that they do, and then they have 1, 2, 3 albums with them, and then they move on to another person. And I think that speaks to the career life cycle. This thing of like, you have put in enough work to understand the thing, and now you need a reinvigoration, and you're hitting your peak, and you need a guru like Rick Rubin to come in and be like, this is what you're going to go do. And then after that, to my understanding of all the people I'm thinking of, you kind of find your sound, and then you live in that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of plateau potentially. I mean, there's an interesting thing. If you look at all these artists, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, John Coltrane, all these people in the music world, we at least think of, they changed music forever. Rock was never the same after the Beatles and so forth. Well, how long was their career? Everybody has about a 10-year lifespan. So Led Zeppelin, Led Zeppelin, 10 years, and then that's it. Beatles, you go through the 60s, end of the 60s, that's it. I mean, they did their thing. They changed pop music. John Coltrane, he changed everything, but it was like 59 to 67. So I think there's a certain, we look at the arc of a person's career artistically, but a lot of times it's just a 10-year lifespan. There are only, again, so many ways you can reinvent yourself.
But Thompson, why do you think that the lifespan's so short? Is it because that you've run the whole trajectory in that 10 years and you've become kind of like depleted of ideas?
That's tough. It's probably also interpersonal, because in all the, at least in these bands, there's so much friction that takes place between the band members. And a lot of times it's not simply collaboration, it's the dissent and the disagreements that kind of create friction that actually creates something special that might just be another aspect to it. But you can't do that for 20, 30 years. You're at each other's throats.
That's another fucking episode right there.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, I've thought a lot about this. Like, as you go from young nobody upstart to like cemented famous band who's older, so much stuff changes, right? You're getting older. You're going from, say, what I would call a fluid intelligence to a crystallized intelligence. Like, you're young, you're hungry, you're willing to do anything. Your brain is like a Ferrari. To as you get older, it's more about your experience and what you've seen before. So you're different as the artist, right? Your reputation. When you were young, you had no reputation. You were willing to fail and take risks. Once you have a reputation as a bad boy, are you willing to fail in the public eye now that you're lauded globally as some amazing artist? Are you willing to unlearn what you've learned to try something new? Lehman talked about an unlearning cost to reinvention, that you can't reinvent yourself without unlearning to some degree what you've already learned. Accumulation of obligations, children, houses, financial burdens, wives, friends, they all expect continuity out of you in some way. Like, you're going to be there for them when they need something. Your kids need to go to the dentist. Are you going to be some young upstart? Are you going to be some like reinventing yourself at 50 when your kids have to go to college and you have to drop, or 40 when your kids have to go to a dentist? Life gets in the way. Financial obligations. What about loss? Deaths in the family, mental health. We wear the scars of life in us over time. Are you all about like, oh, I'm going to recreate this and I'm going to take this person's idea and fucking flip it on its head when your mom just died and you're like reeling from the loss of like not having this person in your life? Life gets complicated as you get older. It's not so easy.
Some people are, but those people are, I think, colloquially nailed it, known as sociopaths.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there's a timing and a life component to all of this we're talking about, whether you're the explorer. And I think that's why it's easier to be the explorer when you're younger. You have less to lose. You have less obligation. you're freer, you're free and clear to just fuck shit up,
Yeah.
as opposed to when you get older.
Sometimes you just got to pay your mortgage. You got to pay the bills.
Yeah. That's fair.
All right, guys, this is a fascinating topic, and I want to do a little segment now. I didn't tell either of you this, called "What Did We Forget?" It could be anything you thought about this episode, any thoughts you had throughout the entire hour.
I
and 20
already know
minutes
what it is
that we didn't get to. Let's bring it up right now, even if it seems like it's a non sequitur.
Okay.
Thompson or Eric, you want to go first?
Eric,
no,
go ahead.
Please, Thompson.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. So it's interesting you brought up Rick Rubin, which I didn't expect, but I had been thinking about we had this explorer versus collaborator. So how would you bridge the gap? So I was thinking, what kind of personality bridges that gap? And I came up with, here's my take on it. So I like to do a lot of hiking. My wife is she's a mountaineer. So she likes she's been to Antarctica. She goes to the mountains. She does some serious hiking, far beyond what I've done. But I was thinking, there's kind of the artist as a Sherpa, a navigator. So what does a Sherpa do? You've got a guide who's completely knowledgeable about the lands. You need to get to this summit. They know the different ways to get there. They know all the hazards. They've been over this time and time again.
Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin.
Yeah, it's Rick Rubin.
Right?
They know the history of the area. They know the cultures. They know where to get food. They know the seasons. They know the things to look for in the weather. They can deal with all that challenging terrain and so forth. But they're guiding a group of people there. So they're not just, I need to get to that summit and get there at any cost. No, they've done that 100 times, but they've got 10 people with them. They're carrying the bags and the tents, and they're watching these people to see, are they tired? Do they need a break? Are they hypoxic? Are they running out of oxygen and we need to take a break and there's weather coming? They need to guide their audience. Okay, it's time to make camp. It's getting too cold. My people need to rest. Like, let's have a break here, make a campfire, sit down, have some food. It's not about me getting to the top. We're going to get there, but I'm going to be your guide. I'm going to bring you there. So I think of Rick Rubin really fits that paradigmatic way. They're relieving the audience of a lot of these aspects, but they're with maturity, like you're saying, I want to teach people. They're still bringing them to the summit, but they're going to do it at a different pace and with complete compassion and guidance.
That's fucking phenomenal, man.
Oh, dude.
Paul, you go next, because I think my question will lead into the after show.
Did we miss anything?
This was your fucking segment. What do you like?
Fuck. No, I think I largely touched on all the points I wanted.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Come on. 5-6 pages of handwritten notes in front of me. Yeah. Gosh, no, I think I touched on everything I wanted to touch on. Other than to say,
you motherfucker.
Wait, I will say.
You just wanted to tell everybody that you're better than us, huh?
What? Shut up. What I will say is, like, this whole idea of a career trajectory is new to me. I'd never really considered it. And I thought it was very interesting to apply it to the three of us. I was Thomson. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, he pivoted careers. Like, it played out in jazz, and he's like, enough. Like, it's not supporting my life the way I need it to. And I don't know, Thomson, you can elaborate on this for sure. And you switched.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there are really two components. There was, I'd done something which I felt was fairly successful for 25 years. And I looked ahead at my life and I just said, how many times am I going to be able to pivot and go somewhere new? And I get this one chance, and it's time for me to just try something completely different. It's not completely different, but life is an adventure, and I wanted to just go exploring somewhere else. And it came with a certain loss, and it wasn't an easy decision to make. But I mean, I'm still playing. I'm still able to do art. I compose, I play. So it's not like that disappears. It's something you're always going to have with you. But definitely, I just said, you live once. I've got another half of my life to live. Let's try something new.
Fucking
And
amazing,
Eric,
man.
I've been thinking about some of the stuff you've been struggling with about do you want to continue with content creation? You've had so many phases with whether it's working in a cabinet shop or on your own as the studio artist, and then more recently as the content creator of social media. And even that's feeling not as fresh as it used to. And so you're kind of oh, by the way, your educator phase. Sorry, I didn't mean to forget that. Of course, you were a teacher in middle school for many years. And gymnastics coach. Like you've had so many, chapters already, and I feel like you're heading towards even a new one. And that made me think about you in terms of your career trajectory.
Yeah. I don't know where it's headed, but I do know maybe I have a shorter career life cycle, or like the cyclical path of each phase of my career is shorter than maybe most. I feel like I'm on a 5 to 7 year. Every time that happens, I'm like, all right, what the fuck else is out there? Which on the one hand is lovely because I get to explore new things.
Yeah.
On the other hand, is viscerally unstable.
Right. Because you earn more money the longer you stay in a field and all that.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought about myself with regards to that as well, which is like, sure, I've been lucky to have science the whole time as kind of the financial underpinning and I said earlier that all the science I do is fresh all the time because I'm given problems from outside externally and I never know what I'm going to get. And it's wildly different project to project. So that keeps it fresh enough that I don't think I lose my boner for science. But outside of science, I've had music as a passion for a long time. And that is, I still love music, but I hardly ever play anymore, ever. And woodworking has come up as a second huge trajectory in my life. And even that, look, I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. I have some real exciting ideas that I'm working towards, but it takes me the better part of a year to realize some of the projects that I'm hot about. And so I see a life cycle even with that. And now, beekeeping and gardening has come on board a little bit. And you can see it. It's just, you see these things coming and going. So to me, that piece of today's conversation of career being the envelope of explorer to collaborator has been interesting. Eric, what did we forget to talk about that you had?
All right. Well, I want to bring it back to a very specific thing. And maybe this can be a thing that we lead with the after show in, because in the first 5 minutes of this podcast today, you brought up Miles Davis versus John Coltrane. And immediately I wanted to know more about the distinction between them because I could be wrong, but I think Miles Davis is the more famous jazz musician of the two. John Coltrane certainly has a name, right? Everybody knows who John Coltrane is, but Miles Davis is like the pop culture icon of jazz musician or jazz music. So what I want to know, and I think we can push this to the after show because I think this will be an interesting conversation. As a professional musician, I don't want to say you spoke negatively of Miles Davis, but there seemed to be an admiration of John Coltrane that was not there in the mention of Miles Davis. And as somebody who knows Miles Davis's work more than John Coltrane's work, I'm just very curious to hear you elaborate on that. Paul's face through that whole
Thomson,
thing.
I'm like, what? I already know what Thompson's gonna say, bitch.
Well, I just want to know. I want to know. I think for the people out there, I think that could be a really interesting conversation. Miles Davis, listen, this is for the millennials among us. If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis is a seminal sign. That's a what the fuck are you holding up? Okay,
look at that. Right. There you go. Yep.
So what are you pushing back on me saying that people know Miles Davis better than John Coltrane? You got a fucking poster.
At any rate, we'll take that on the after show. And I definitely, Thomson, I do want to hear more. I mean, I know some, but I think everyone would love to hear more of what it's like to exist as a professional artist for 20 years in New York City, cutting your teeth in any scene, never mind jazz, which is tough. Thank you guys. What a great discussion. I feel like I learned this topic about art. Is art for the artist or is art for the audience? Man, like, how do you, all right, like, let's end on this. How do you answer that? Eric,
I don't think we did. So that speaks to the harsh of the question. Yeah,
but like, it's so fucking complicated, the answer.
Yeah. Because I mean, the answer is both, right?
It depends.
Yeah, which is a dog shit fucking answer.
I know, but it depends on you. It depends on your age. It depends on how long you've been in the field. It depends on your brain. It depends on your personality type. It depends on so many things. But I know that often we don't answer these questions unequivocally black and white, but that's because there aren't black and white answers. And I'm personally okay with that. I don't know if the audience is okay with that. You can ask yourself, do you make art for yourself? Do you make art for your audience? I suspect if you're trying to sell it, you're making for the audience. But I think it's a worthwhile thing to think about. Thank you all for tuning in. Thomson, you're amazing. We'll talk to you in the after show.
Thank you, brother.
You got it. Thanks.
Okay, bye everyone.